the Celtics match up slightly better with the West than
Right.
the Pistons or the Knicks do. I'm gonna go and say this. I'm really happy how the Celtics have done this season. Totally shocked, totally surprised. Some bad losses, but some really good wins, and like just good. Just feel good. Just feel good. It's fun watching. Fun team. You think? Do you think he's in the conversation for Coach of the Year? Do you think that's a legitimate question?
I think he has to be the front runner. I think it's above. Conversation. I think he has to be the lead guy for Coach of the Year. I mean,
The Celtics are sending Drew Holiday to Portland for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round draft picks.
Breaking news out of the association surrounding the Boston Celtics.
The Celtics have traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks.
50 for Jaylen Brown. This is Pritchard time. The crowd can sense it. Over 3 Bulls. It's
Great in and out dribble. Oh! He set off the smoke detector.
what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Your Celtics Source, episode 54 here. And we are officially at the ceremonial halfway point of the season. It's really 2/3 of the season through. We're going to do our sort of 2/3 MVP and awards poll that we did back in December. We'll do it again after the All-Star break. You can actually vote now with the link in the description. But in this video, I want to take a look back at the first half of the season. How have the Celtics overachieved? How they might have lacked in some areas that, maybe I'm not going to say they should have done better, because I think the obvious answer is they have overachieved, but maybe some areas that they need to improve on in order to make a run in the playoffs. But first, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I think episode 54, that was my under/over for wins for the Celtics this season. So
No, I don't think it was, actually. I think your over under was around 43 wins, which by the way, they're only 5 away from getting 40 wins.
yeah. No, I'm doing good. Look, Celtics, we're gonna have a great conversation. It's a fun team to watch. We went to the Heat game the other night. Of course, Patriots, look, they lost, but they went to the Super Bowl, so we got no complaints there. So yeah, I'm good. I'm doing all right. What about you? How are you feeling?
We're at the sort of point now that, football season's over. Baseball season hasn't started here quite yet. And it's really the NBA time. And I'm looking at the league, right? And obviously my Celtics are doing great, despite the fact that, they had a rough game against the Knicks.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at all these, these other guys' channels that are doing all these contender rankings, right? The post-deadline contender ranking. And I don't see the Celtics in the top, 8 teams. A lot of people have them at 9th, below the Knicks, below the Pistons, below teams like the Rockets, who the Celtics just dominated the other night without all their starters. And and you have the fact that Jayson Tatum looks like he's on his way back. Now, obviously, until he's on the court and we see what he's like, we don't know for sure. But I'm just surprised, how people are still not bought into this team despite how they performed.
I agree with that. And I was looking up, doing a little bit of homework before this, and I find this so counterintuitive, but like apparently this is what the world thinks, so it's good not to live in our bubble. But Eastern Conference Championship odds,
They're the fifth best, right? Or fourth best.
Fourth. They're the fourth
Behind the-
best. Now, let me put that in perspective, because all those teams are almost identical.
Right.
Cavaliers are plus 325, Pistons plus 350, Knicks plus 350, Celtics plus 375. That basically tells me those 4 teams are the same in the eyes of the betting markets. Basically the same.
Now, this might not be the right way, and, we might get some heat for this, but the Pistons don't scare me as much as the Cavs and the Knicks. Just because we know the Pistons have been the best regular season team so far, but they have that one glaring weakness, which is their shooting. And I just feel like Joe Mazzulla will be able to at least, force them to, rely on their 3-point shooting. And that is an up and down thing for the Pistons. Whereas the Knicks and the Cavs, I just think the combination of James Harden and Donovan Mitchell could tear you apart. And then obviously the Knicks, they did just destroy us the other day.
That's one game because we had a bad game, whatever. But look, Harden, I think, is classically bad in the playoffs. They might beat you by 36 points in one game, but I never, he does scare me. He's
classically bad, but he's also one of those players there. He'll have one bad game, but you're still going to the next game predict him to do well. It's very similar to like the Celtics as a team last year. Like they lost the Knicks in those games in those first 2 games of the playoffs, right? Or the second round and whatever. But you still predicted the Celtics to win each night, right? True.
But let me help me make sense of this, because I know you've been looking at some prediction markets a little bit on your own here. So I just gave you the stats for the East, right? Cavs first, Pistons and Knicks tied for second at plus 350, Celtics just after at plus 375. So Celtics are fourth, predicted to win the East. Mm-hmm. When I look at the NBA Finals,
it's different.
This is what's
it's so
the
weird.
Celtics and the Cavs are, so it's Thunder, Nuggets, Spurs. Mm-hmm. The Celtics and the Cavs are then tied for fourth, and now they're
it's just weird how and
the Knicks are gone.
You're not predicted to get out of your own conference, but then if you get to the
they're
finals,
predicted to finish above them in the.
Right.
It's
really
I think
weird.
What it basically says is
they're conflicted. They're going back
they're
and
not
forth.
Conflicted. They actually think that the Celtics match up slightly better with the West than the Pistons or the Knicks do. Not much. They're not great odds, but I thought it was a really interesting, sort of blip in the markets.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, neither here nor there. I'm gonna go and say this. I'm really happy how the Celtics have done this season. Totally shocked, totally surprised. Some bad losses, but some really good wins, and just feel good. Just feel good. It's fun watching. Fun team.
The biggest takeaway I actually had from the season was just how well run of an organization the Celtics are as a whole compared to other franchises around the NBA and either other sports, which, we don't like to compare sports here, or maybe we do, but you look at other teams around the NBA, you look at the Pacers, right? And obviously, they had some injuries and whatever, and the Celtics actually have been. We knew Jayson Tatum was out, but they really haven't had any guys miss stretches of games. Right? They've had the injury luck on their side, not only for themselves, but the teams that they've been playing. They've sometimes been going up against, teams without their stars and whatever. But that's a different conversation. The Pacers side is you look at Tyrese Halliburton, he's out, and they're tanking completely. They can't win a single game. They have the worst offense in the league compared to the Celtics, who, you have your secondary star in most people's eyes when Jayson Tatum was, fully healthy, just, basically deliver an MVP type of season so far.
Let me ask you a question. You said something which I really agree with. I want you to expand a little bit. You said, to me, the Celtics are one of the best managed teams in basketball, which I agree with. How much credit do you give to Joe Mazzulla as a coach versus Brad Stevens as a GM? Obviously, there's lots of other, players and whatever, but those two guys at the top, how much credit do you give to Mazzulla?
I have to give more for this season. I have to give the percentage to Joe Mazzulla, because you look at Brad Stevens, so far he's only done what, the owner has asked him to do. And when I say owner, I don't think
pretty straightforward moves.
Right. No team was going to spend $500 million, in salary and taxes combined with, or with Jayson Tatum out, and with how the West and whatever was so dominant going into the summer and whatever. Right. So you look at what he's done, and, he's taken a team that, had a $500 million salary to now under 200. And the reason that they're still only 2 games off of last year's pace is because of Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown. It's not because of what Brad Stevens did because, you know, I mean,
do you think Mazzulla's in the Mazzulla? Do you think he's in the conversation for Coach of the Year? Do you think that's a legitimate question?
I think he has to be the front runner. I think it's above conversation. I think he has to be the lead guy for Coach of the Year. I mean, like, it doesn't matter how good Jaylen Brown's doing, right? Like, SGA for the Thunder now, obviously he's out right now, but SGA is perpetually in the MVP conversation or MVP front runner, right? And their coach, Mark Dagnall, is still in the Coach of the Year conversation every year, right? So it's not like your one player is the reason that you're winning. There has to be a coach in there as well, which is why I think when we look at the growth of the Celtics this year, because I think that's what this is. This has been a growth year. Mm-hmm. Joe Mazzulla, I think, is probably growing more than almost anybody on that roster. You have to give him credit. Yes, we have bona fide stars. You have White and Pritchard and Brown, and you got great players. But we have to look back and look at his maturity and growth as a coach, and you have to applaud him and respect that, I think. Yes. Derek White still continues to struggle. He's still, he's helping you out tremendously on the defensive end, but he's still not a great asset for you yet on the offensive end. Now,
having a down year offensively, no question.
Still continue to think that when Jayson Tatum comes back, Derek White gets better, but that might not happen. So you take him out of the conversation in, as one of the top reasons that you're winning, and now you look at Joe Mazzulla and how he's gotten Ugo Gonzalez, Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh, 3 guys that, or at least for Jordan Walsh, we had shipped him off to the end of the bench, and we were like, this is his last year to prove that he's an NBA player, right? That he can even be on, or I guess, on this roster. And now you look at those 3 guys specifically, and other guys as well, and you're like, you have the core bench rotation for the next many years. Now you just have to get 1 or 2 guys. A center probably is the most important position right now, but this team is set to make championship runs on a cheap financial status for the next many years of Tatum and Brown.
I wouldn't say cheap, but reasonably controlled cost.
I mean, you're not paying Ugo Gonzalez. He's on a rookie contract for 5 years, and I think Ugo Gonzalez could easily be your 7th guy off the bench.
I think that's right. I mean, I think they're developing players really well. I would love, and maybe Joe, if you're ever watching this and want, we would love to watch you do the bingo hopper of players that you pick out who starts every night, where you just run it around and then you're like, oh, Ugo's going to start. Okay, we'll do the next one. And we have Shireman, because God help you if you can predict who's going to start. Like,
it's so
on
random.
one night, somebody gets 31 minutes, and the next night DNP.
Hey,
right?
But I guess that's credit to the bench for, not dipping in level of performance, right? Like, it doesn't matter whether one of those 3 guys is in, Baylor, Ugo, Walsh, right? They're all, they're all giving you the same performance. It's not like one's better than the other. I think,
I think, though, it is one of the things I think Mazzulla is very intentional in his approach. And my guess is part of it is he does that to actually mess with their minds a little bit. Like, he's going to put out the best team to try and win for sure. But like, you could get benched at any time and you could go in at any time. So that means you're always trying to be ready and fighting for playing time versus like, when you're the backup, you're on the Pacers, you're the 12th man. Like, you're not going in. It's garbage time if you go in. You're just never going in the game. Right. You never know on the Celtics. You might start, for God's sake, and you don't know. Right. So you got to be ready.
That Rockets game, like, I know they were missing some guys, but in no person's mind do you still start Ron Harper Jr. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're missing a couple guys. He's still the 4th guy off the bench at the best.
And he came out, and what did he do? Crushed.
He crushed it.
Crushed. Now he crushed. He crushed. I mean, so you have to give credit to Mazzulla and the whole coaching staff. You got to give him credit. You got to give him credit.
On the same lines, how do you feel about Payton Pritchard now going on the off the bench now that they don't have Anthony Simons?
Um, I mean, there's one thing about Payton Pritchard that makes him truly an asset is that he's unguardable, literally unguardable. You may not know that, but Payton Pritchard's unguardable. And we joke about that, but we watched him in the game the other night. He'll go into the paint against 8-footers and he'll dribble around, do whatever. And the next thing you know, he's got some double pump reverse layup and it goes in. Like he's, of course, you can stop him. He's not, but he's just sneaky with that elbow jumper from the top of, the top of the paint or the reverse. Like he's a huge asset. And I think he's done a really good job. First of all credit to him being selfless. He could be making a stink. I have to start, like a lot of NBA players do that. A lot of pros do that, right? He just said, whatever it takes to help this team win. And he still gets his minutes.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get to start.
On that front, I think it's a little different because he's still playing the 35 plus minutes a night, like a starter, right? Like, I don't think he cares whether he's starting. Like, it's nice to get the recognition, but when you're still playing 35 to 40 minutes a night and still impacting winning every single night, I don't think it really matters for him. The one thing I have noticed, though, is that the starting unit has taken a big dip offensively to start games. They're falling into these holes really quickly to start games. And Payton Pritchard is having to come in, 3 minutes into the game to try and get the offense going. I think, like, obviously the bench unit needs to have a facilitator and scorer without Anthony Simons, and Payton Pritchard has done that. But now you look at, Ugo Gonzalez starting with Brown, with White, shooting as poorly as he is, and with Kada, who's not much of a three-point shooter either, and you're really missing an offensive jump.
Yeah, I think it's a good observation. They do have a tendency to start. If they don't start hot, they go in a hole deep. Even Brown with his, he's not always shooting 80% all the time. You know what I mean? So, but then you see guys like Sharman who get hot all of a sudden, right? So, I do think it's something. It'll be interesting to see what's your starting lineup if Tatum is back, right? You got Tatum, Brown, White, and then what are you going to go?
So I think the biggest question is you decide whether you want to start Kada or you start Vooch. Now, I think people are projecting that Tatum and Vooch are going to work well together because, Tatum works well with that pick and roll combination and whatever, and Vooch can add that. Personally, I start Kada because I think Kada's playing so well right now, and you reward him for that to continue to perform the way he is. And there is a little bit, we'll see, down the road, as Vooch gets more and more confident and, relaxed into this lineup. But I'd start with Kada, and then you have to decide, do you want a shooter or do you want a defender? And personally, given the physicality that the playoffs bring, I want to see Ugo Gonzalez in there.
Yeah,
I think you keep Hauser off the bench. You keep Shireman, Walsh off the bench because I do believe Ugo Gonzalez. Now, Jordan Walsh and Ugo Gonzalez are pretty similar players, but Ugo is a little bit bigger and stronger than Walsh is.
I actually agree with this assessment. And I think one of the reasons why is I think Tatum and Kada have that pick and roll rhythm already. It's going to take a while. Like Vooch will have it and it'll be great, but it's going to take a while to develop that trust. Like they got to know that.
Here's the thing, right? Because Tatum's been out for so long, I think you're on an even playing ground at this point.
I don't think so.
Really?
It's like riding a bike. You get back and you're like, oh yeah, I know this guy. You got to learn the style and the habits, and so it's not undoable. It just takes a little time. Right. And I actually agree with you on Ugo. I think you put Ugo in there, and the second he struggles, you rotate in Walsh. Whichever one is a tougher defender, you're giving them the the 60-30.
It depends.
60.
Depends what you need, right? If you're struggling offensively, you put in a Pritchard or a Hauser or whatever. Probably a Hauser if that's the reason. Right. If you're struggling defensively, then you put in a Walsh or someone too.
Yeah, but I think to your point, what we were talking about earlier is teams starting off weakly defensively. They're not stopping. They're giving up leads. I'd rather put, like the jumbo package on the line in football. I'd rather put the extra defender in there and try and let, you got plenty of scoring power with the top three up there. So I'm not saying you don't want another, but I'd rather have another defender, a slightly better defender in there and see if you can control that other team and like not lose that big lead. So
Right. But well, I don't even think it's about losing leads. I think it's the fact that they can't get out to a
no,
lead
that's what I
start.
mean. Like not go down in the hole deep to start.
Right.
That's what
But
I mean.
you think that's more defensively? That's the problem? I really think that's offensively because they're only giving up like whatever 22-point first quarters. Like that's not a problem defensively.
Maybe
They
it's,
just can't get the ball in the basket.
yeah, it's a fair comment. I haven't really looked as closely at the data as I should, but like it's just my gut when I watch the start of those games. Like, God, the next thing you know, they're like not coming out game ready sometimes. And they're going down 10-2 or 14-4 or something like out of the gate. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's largely due to Payton Pritchard, which I think you can't fix at this moment. You have to have someone there to come in and give you a spark.
So would Mazzulla take White off the bench and start with Pritchard? I don't think so.
I don't think he would.
But should he?
I mean, that's a fair conversation. I don't think quite yet, but I'm wondering if, assuming Tatum, here's another thing, and we'll talk about this in just a second, so I'll leave it for then. Okay. But Tatum and White would be great, as that second unit, right? Assuming Tatum is whatever 85%, back to where he was. Like Tatum and White could be a great, little combination off the bench with, a bunch of 3 bench players and whatever. So I'm wondering if, White, let's say when they get back to it, Tatum plays the first quarter, Brown makes a sub, and then Brown plays the full second quarter, and Tatum takes his minutes. That's usually how they have done it, or whatever. One combination of the other, switching quarters or whatever it is, right? I'm wondering if, Tatum plays the full fourth quarter, White comes off the bench, and then White comes in and plays the rest of the first quarter with the Tatum.
I don't think you're going to see Tatum playing any full 12 minutes anytime soon.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about maybe he gets 20 games under his belt, and he plays a first quarter in the playoffs at some point. Yeah, and maybe even still he doesn't play a full quarter at any point this season. That might be the case, and that might be the more realistic case that he even in the playoffs he probably still has a 32-minute restriction, something like that, right? And 32 minutes when you get into the later rounds is probably not quite enough time to actually be on the court for a star player.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I got to be encouraged, though. Got to be encouraged.
Here's the other thing, and I do want to transition over. We talked briefly about Nikola Vucevic and how, your assessment of him. And I know it's only been 3 games and he only had 2 practices, and you saw the difference in that Bulls game. Now, obviously, a different caliber opponent, but still a totally different player after a couple of days of rest and a couple of days of practice under his belt with his new team. But Tatum, historically, when, you've had a center who has not been a great defender like Vucevic, Tatum's been the one that guards the center, and you stick a Vucevic out on a non-shooter on the perimeter.
Yeah.
That takes tremendous, pressure off of Nikola Vucevic just to be the offensive force. Now, that also relies on Tatum being willing to play both ends. I'm not questioning about, I'm not worried
don't
about
forget that takes a toll on you when you take, that's a tough game, right? And I don't think you're going to see that out of the gate. Like I wouldn't put Tatum in that stressful position until second, third round of the playoffs.
When and if he comes back.
When we know he's coming back. Come on. You're not practicing with the G League if you're not coming back.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know that, right? He made those comments.
We do.
I think so.
Come on. Right. We can play these games.
Just for your sake, when he comes back.
Thank you.
Do teams just go right at him? Do they try you don't? Because I think he's still good enough of a defender, even at a sub level, that teams don't just attack him, but like, do you test him out, see if he's willing to move side to side, and like, it's one thing. I don't think there's any healthier he can get at this point. 36 weeks in. I don't think his injury can get any better. But will he be scared to, be diving on the floor for balls, for diving, for rebounds, going up for rebounds in contested areas? Like,
I think you're going to see him out there 90% on game day one. And I think sure, you might test him, but you're going to pretty quickly see that even a 90% Tatum, and I'm not saying he'll be 90%,
right,
is 100% good enough. It's not like
right,
you have some weak corner and you're going to pick on him all day long in football because at some point the coverage can get broken and you're going to
right.
Tatum is always going to be there and be Tatum. So yeah, you might test a little, but I don't think they're going to put him out there if when you test him, they find, they're going to test him in the G League and in practice. Anytime Brown is going at Tatum and, just blowing by him, they're going to not put Tatum in the game, right? So
right. Yeah, that's probably true.
So I'm not worried about that. Speaking of Brown, I know this is on your topic. I'm going to tell you right now, you know what his probability of winning the MVP is?
I saw the odds.
0.
Yeah.
They will never give him the MVP, even if he deserves it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Tell me the thing.
Okay. I have the results right here. And as we speak,
literally, as we speak,
Nikola Jokic has missed 16 games. He misses one more game, and he's just statistically not able to win the MVP.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether people want to vote him or not. He cannot miss another game, and I have to think that he's going to miss one game.
It's a fair, because he doesn't really care about winning the MVP. They want to try and win the whole thing. So if a back-to-back and he needs to rest, they're going to do that.
Yeah. Okay, that, assuming he misses one game, that eliminates him. SGA, he's still way down there in terms of number of games missed, but he's been out and is going to continue to be out for the time being with the abdominal strain or whatever that he has.
I see where we're going here.
Right. So now I still think he's going to, unfortunately, for our sake, play enough games. And then I think he's the easy MVP. Statistically, yeah, he's the MVP. But if you look at value, I mean, you're arguing between Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, Jaylen Brown, and, maybe, Wemby, although I don't think Wemby has had a big enough factor in the team's success. Also, Wemby's getting pretty close to missing enough games actually as well. Right? So I'm trying to look
up the awards, see what the stats are. This is interesting. Do you know who is the number one odds on far away favorite for coach of the year? JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah, with the Pistons.
Yeah, which is fair, actually.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right, yeah. So you're looking at these 4 or 5 guards that Jaylen Brown is battling with. And they have pretty similar stats. Actually, I do believe Jaylen Brown has the better overall counting stats. So you're arguing value. And actually, funny enough, this comes up with the Drake May conversation with Matthew Stafford, right? He had the overall counting stats by far. Yeah. But the reason it was only a 1 vote separating was the value question. Who actually had more value to their team? And
is it? Remind me, what does MVP stand for? Most valuable player to your team.
Right.
But to your team, I think, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now there's also a league thing. Like you could be like an absolute stud. You could be like Myles Garrett, and you're never going to win MVP because the Browns can't win any games, right? So you're the most valuable player on that team, but you're never going to win. You got to have a good enough season, right?
Right.
So
most valuable towards winning.
Yeah.
But the unique question with Jaylen Brown, or situation, I guess, is Jaylen Brown actually leads some of those second-tier players in the counting stats. Plus, he has his team where he is. So I don't see how, if you look at value and statistics, how he can't be lower than 4th in the MVP conversation. But teams media, whoever's voting for it, don't want to give him credit.
No, it's interesting. For a long time, Jaylen Brown sort of talked about respect, and he didn't get the calls from the refs, and he didn't, he wasn't. And I don't know that I felt like it was maybe a little whining, kind of. I'm coming around to his point of view, though, actually.
Right.
A decade in here, something, not quite, but like, he kind of doesn't get the respect.
I think this is his 10th season.
Yeah, he kind of doesn't get the respect. He does have a valid point of view. Is it as big as he says or something? I don't know, but he's not totally wrong here. And I think it's unfortunate because he's having a truly amazing. Now, he did win the MVP in the finals, which I thought was a fair and appropriate,
the right choice, right?
Right choice. But that was easier. That you're picking between him and Tatum. You're not like really trying to look at everybody, right?
I think, this is a conversation for when we get closer to Tatum's return. I'm still circling that March 3rd, somewhere around there, because they go on a road trip to start. They have a couple games and then they go on that road trip. And I do think it's going to be that second time that they come home that Jayson Tatum makes a start, because he won't quite be ready for that first time. And I don't think he'll come on the road. Even, as a fan, I actually don't care whether he returns at home or not. I want him to play, right? And it's not like he's going to stay home. Now, here's the thing. He's been traveling with the team. I think the last couple weeks, he might stay home and get those finishing reps that he needs so that
he needs G League. He needs time on the court, like against competition.
But here's the unfortunate part, right? It's not like the MLB where they'll, put a guy who's recovering from an injury down in AAA to recover for 5 games or whatever before they come up. He won't play a G League game. So
you don't think so?
Not a chance. He will not play a single minute in a G League game.
I thought they might put him in for 1 game.
Nope. His first time on the court will be the 20-minute minute restriction that he'll get in an actual game, which I'm circling March 4th against the Hornets, the day after his birthday.
In Boston, right?
In Boston.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we've circled that date for months now.
We have, and it's becoming more and more likely that's the date. Now, as we sort of wrap up here, I want to leave the how will Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown conversation for another video. Your quick thoughts on the Chris Paul retiring. I found it really, interesting why no team wanted to pick up a vet just to, a veteran guy just to help out in a, for a team that is already, in a good spot in the, playoffs and whatever, and is vying for a championship.
I just think it was time and everybody kind of knew it. And I think he just took the high road. He probably could have found a team somewhere to play. And I think he just said, you know what? It's just time. And that's got to be hard when you're still like so capable, right? Like, let's just say LeBron. I know we're not talking about LeBron. He retires at the end of this year. He's still so capable, right? He's not going to, but he could.
I think LeBron's going to do one last year in Cleveland next year.
I don't know where he'll do it. He definitely will do
it. It won't be on
year.
The Lakers.
I don't think so. I think that's run his course. He will do another year.
Cleveland or Miami.
He will make sure that whatever that final season is, he gets a 75-minute tribute video and gifts at every arena. And they have to throw roses at him and tell him he's the best person in the world.
I'm wondering, I don't think number 23 is definitely not retired. After LeBron and Jordan go through, anywhere. Or like through the league, right? Obviously, it's retired in arenas.
Chicago.
Right. Yeah. Do they retire 23 for LeBron and Jordan just across the NBA?
This is a bold move. I kind of do like that. I don't think they do, but
I think it's the right move, but I don't think they will do it.
Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, they really have not done that.
Are there any sports that have done that?
Well, Jackie Robinson, they retired 42.
Yes, I'm saying just for 42 for, and obviously that had bigger implications besides.
Yeah, right.
Like, are there any other leagues that have done that with any number? I don't think there are.
That's a great question. I don't think so. No. It would be a bold statement. But the other reason why they might not do it, though, just because the NBA is about money, too, and they want people to wear 23. Right. They want you to, you know what I mean?
Right. That's
kind of like.
All right. Last thing here before we wrap it up is how many arenas build a statue for LeBron? How many teams?
Just Cleveland.
Just Cleveland, not the Lakers. I think probably not the Lakers. Not
Not
Miami.
the Lakers and not the Heat. Nope.
Nope. So just Cleveland. So
Yep.
Cleveland. Yeah. So you think they'll give them whatever 3 or a stack through there?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will.
All right. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow on social media. You can check out this podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. We will be back after the All-Star break. And until next time, go Sox. Oh,
Go Sox.
Celtics. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.